Deep thoughts, shallow host. All right, let's do this. Today, we're cracking open the skulls of two philosophers who are so different, it's like comparing a guy who color codes his sock drawer with a guy who juggles badgers. It's gonna get weird, people.
So let me ask you something. You're driving, minding your own business, maybe you're doing 5 over, who cares? Then wham, the disco lights pop up in your mirror. Some guy strolls up to your window, hands you a ticket, and you just want to scream, "Who are you? Who died and made you the king of Route 6? It's that feeling, right? That question of who gets to be the judge. Well, some people take that feeling and they never ever let it go. And that brings us to our first head case. This fella, Socrates, from way back when. This guy was obsessed, and I mean obsessed with judgment. He didn't care about your speeding ticket. No, he wanted to put the entire universe on trial. See, for this guy, philosophy wasn't about, looking at the moon and wondering about stuff. No. The whole point of being alive was to be a cosmic lawyer. He thought the universe was one giant courtroom, and his job was to cross-examine everything. He wanted to put your beliefs, my beliefs, the sky's beliefs on the witness stand and grill them until they cracked. Here's how nuts he was. The oracle at Delphi, which is basically like a magical 8-ball that never lies, tells him he's the wisest guy around. A normal person hears that, they buy themselves a beer, right? Not Socrates. He treats this divine tip-off like it's flimsy evidence. He starts a whole investigation, marching around Athens, cornering poets and politicians, trying to poke holes in the oracle's claim. He's literally trying to build a legal case against his own greatness. And this is when he'd pull out his signature move. He'd get some blowhard talking, let him puff out his chest, and then he'd hit him with this, all calm and quiet-like. My advantage over the rest of mankind is that I do not think I know what I do not know. Oh, give me a break. Yeah, right is exactly it, you silly goose. It's the slickest move in the book. He's not saying he's an idiot. He's saying you're an idiot for thinking you know anything. It's a trap. He acts all humble, but what he's really doing is setting himself up as the only guy in the room who's not full of it. He's the ultimate, well, actually guy. And this lawyer shtick goes all the way to the grave. To him, life isn't a party, it's a prison sentence. Your body is the cell. Your soul is the poor slob doing time, and death? Death is your parole hearing. And your only shot at getting out and moving up to the penthouse in the sky is to hire philosophy as your lawyer. What a buzzkill. Only the brainiacs get into heaven, I guess. Okay. Put a pin in that guy. The universe as a courtroom. Now, let's meet the polar opposite. A dude who wouldn't put life on trial, he'd douse it in gasoline and throw a match just to watch it burn. Say hello to George's Bataille, the human bonfire. So his big idea is something called sovereign expenditure. Here's the deal. Our whole world says save, invest, build, be useful. Bataille says that's for chumps. The real point of life is glorious, spectacular waste. It's like you win the lottery, right? Socrates would tell you to start a 401k. Bataille says you buy a monster truck, fill it with fireworks, and drive it off a cliff. For what? For nothing. For the beautiful, stupid, magnificent boom. It's a middle finger to being useful. And to prove his point, Bataille digs up this poster child for pure insanity, a French nobleman from the Middle Ages named Gilles de Rais. And you better buckle up, Buttercup, because this story takes a real dark turn. So get a load of this guy's resume. 1429, he's a war hero fighting next to Joan of Arc. He's on top of the world. Then, just 3 years later, he locks himself in his castle and starts murdering kids. We're talking hundreds. By 1440, he's dead, executed as maybe the worst monster in history. So you gotta ask, what the hell happened there? Well, Bataille's got a theory. He says de Rais was from an older world, a world where being a rich noble meant you had one job: waste everything in the most spectacular way possible. War wasn't about politics. It was their Super Bowl, a luxury sport for psychos. The whole point was to just pour money and lives into a giant, bottomless hole just to show everyone you could. Thinking was for peasants. But then the world got boring. The kings took over. War became organized. It became about strategy. Ugh. They took away his demolition derby and replaced it with a chess match. So what's a guy like de Rais supposed to do? He's got all this berserker energy, this need for magnificent destruction, and nowhere to put it. So he took it home. And that's where Bataille thinks all that horror came from. So let's throw these two weirdos in the ring. In this corner, you got Socrates, the brain, the guy who thinks you can figure everything out if you just make a good enough flowchart. And in the other corner, you got Bataille,
the beast, who thinks our true self comes out when we set the flowchart on fire. Look at this matchup. Team Socrates, the brainiac, thinks law is the ultimate rulebook. For Team Bataille, the berserker, it's more of a suggestion. Death? For Socrates, it's the final verdict from the judge. For Bataille, it's the ultimate party foul, the last big waste. And war? A sad necessity for the brainiac and a luxury blood sport for the rich psycho.
So when you boil it all down, what are we really talking about here? It's an argument between a hall monitor who wants to write you up for chewing gum and the burnout behind the school setting a dumpster on fire just to watch the pretty colors. That's it. That's the whole debate. You know, this whole thing, it reminds me of my Uncle Vinny's funeral. Man, that tore the family right down the middle. So Uncle Vinny, in his will, he had one last request. He wanted us to take his pride and joy, a jet ski he named, I kid you not, the Panty Dropper, strap a case of illegal fireworks to it and launch it right off a cliff. My Aunt Carol went full Socrates on us. Are you insane? We could sell that for $5,000. It's useful. But I was pure Team Battelle. I screamed, Carol, that's the whole point. It's not supposed to be useful. Vinny wanted one last magnificent, pointless explosion. We launched it. It was beautiful.
So, after all that, the judge versus the firebug. Where are we now? Who won? Well, it looks like the hall monitor won, but somewhere along the way he got a degree in IT.
Think about how we talk about bad guys now. We don't say some guy has an evil soul anymore. That sounds old-fashioned. Nah. Now we say he has a disorder. He's not damned. He's just got a bug in his software. His soul doesn't need saving. His hard drive needs a reboot.
The serial killer isn't a demon anymore. He's a laptop with a nasty virus. He's an economic control malfunction. The Socratic need to judge and label everything won out, but it got so boring. There's no grand cosmic trial of good and evil. There's just a broken appliance that needs to be unplugged. So that leaves me with one final stupid question. If evil is just a glitch, if a bad guy is just a computer with a bug, then is heaven just a cosmic tech support call center? Hello? Yeah, my soul keeps crashing, and I'm getting a pop-up ad for eternal damnation. Can you walk me through a reset? Think about it.